Welcome to the Broadway Shuffle with Clayton, Conrad, and Zyler. I am Brennan, and we are going to get into the massive news of Texas Tech landing five-star Felix Ojo, stealing him from the University of Texas. But first, I would be remiss if we start the show being a podcast that is focused in Texas if we were not going to at least make an announcement regarding the devastation that took place in Texas over the weekend. And we here at the Broadway Shuffle, just whether it's friends or families, people that listen to the show, if you have anyone affected, we just want to let you know that we are praying for you guys and that we are keeping everyone in our thoughts and prayers in the parts of our great state that are suffering and feeling tremendous loss. And so we just want to send our condolences and our prayers to you guys and know that we're here. And it's just really hard to be positive in this situation, but we know as a sports podcast, it's something that can take a back seat in times like this. But we just want to continue forward, and we just want to let you know that you guys are in our thoughts and prayers. And if anyone's affected, it's hard to explain. But we're going to get to football. We're going to get to Tech sports. We're going to keep trucking. But just wanted to start the show with that comment. So thank you guys for listening. If this is your first time to the Broadway Shuffle, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel so you never miss any of the latest Texas Tech news and reactions. So, okay, guys, time to get to sports. I know it's weird starting a show like that and then getting right into some of the biggest news, arguably, in your football program's recruiting history. Maybe we shouldn't be surprised at this point, but Texas Tech lands a five-star offensive tackle out of Mansfield. This news had been kind of reported coming into signing day. He did the massive hat flip. Conrad, want to go to you first, man. Your initial thoughts on the Felix Ojo signing and, man, what this means for Texas Tech.
Yeah, Felix is already a Red Raider legend, picking us the way he did. I mean, picking the Longhorn hat up and saying, I'm committing to the University of Texas, and saying, hold up, putting it down, and then having a Texas Tech hat come out from under the table. I think his mom gave it to him, and committing to the University of Texas Tech. Felix, quick correction for you. It's Texas Tech University, not the University of Texas Tech, but hey, we're all happy, so we'll let it slide. I mean, the way he did it was obviously epic, but I think just thinking about what this means for your program, I think it just communicates on an even bigger stage that, hey, you're here, you're ready, and you're not playing around. You're going to invest where you need to. And some people are, I guess, they're questioning the decision to invest the way that we did with Felix, but at the same time, I think they all would have done the exact same thing if they would have had the opportunity. But we came up and ponied up, and so he's going to be a Red Raider, and extremely excited for what he's going to mean for the offensive line, in the years to come.
Yeah, Zyler, this news, with everything that happened over the winter portal and with everything that happened with David Bailey and all these guys and Texas Tech making big splashes within the transfer portal. But this is different. This is the high school. We had Micah Hudson a year ago, big time five-star, and now you're backing that up with another five-star land out of the 2026 class. I mean, is Texas Tech here to stay? Is this what we should expect moving forward? Is Texas Tech the new recruiting powerhouse when it comes to NIL and five-star recruits and transfer portal, or is this something you expect to die down? It's just still caught up in the heat of what Tech has been doing over the last year plus.
Yeah, I think what it signals to me, and I think we'll talk about this a little bit later, is just this is not the 2025 season. You've had so many conversations where it's like, what happens if you lose this year? And it's you go 9-3, you go 8-4, you do something like that. Well, you know what? We're just going to load up with 5 stars next year and do stuff. Like, this is not going to be a one-off. Tech has not said, hey, boosters, we're going to go all in for this 1 year, and we want to really try to win here. And if not, it's back to the same old. They're committed to trying to find every single edge, trying to find every way to enhance and boost their roster. This is not going to be a one-off thing. At least it doesn't appear so right now. You don't have unlimited funds. You're not going to sign every 5-star that exists in the country. You're not going to sign a top 10 class this year. You're not going to sign a top 15 class this year. You're not even going to sign a top 20 class this year. It's not that you have elevated yourself to the Ohio States or the Oregons or the UTs even of the world, and you're going to sign, 4 or 5 stars, 18 4. That's not what you've done. You've just said, hey, listen, we're going to go out there and get the talent that we want, that we believe can play on our roster at a really early age. And we're going to find a way to, maximize the advantages that we do have. And Tech doesn't have every advantage in the world. We don't. I mean, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I think it's just really, really, to me, what it signifies is that 2025 is not the end. That is just the start for me. This is not the last football season that we're going to play. It's going to continue to improve and get better from here. That's at least how I'm seeing it.
Yeah, Clayton, this is something that is very exciting. And I mean, Twitter or X, whatever, it's just been like the memes are hilarious. I mean, it's just kind of fun to see Texas Tech be in this space and to see people going nuts about like your program. Were you shocked to see this news break, or was this something that you felt confident in, that Texas Tech was going to be able to start recruiting at this level?
Oh, I've been pretty shocked for sure. I feel like we've had like a complete 180 in the high school recruiting in like the last 2 weeks. And I don't know if that's a coincidence or if that was planned with their start of the revenue sharing. And like this was kind of how they intended to operate all along. But I mean, since revenue sharing started, you've gotten 2 4-stars and another 5-star. And there's a couple other guys that you're in the hunt for. So yeah, I was definitely surprised because I think, to Zyler's point, like there was a lot of chatter about the 2026 class was not looking super like amazing or anything. And you had this amazing transfer class, and it's like, what happens, going forward? Like, is this a one-time deal? Because you can't shell out NIL like this going forward. But I think it's really encouraging to see us land a player of this caliber. I wish not, this is kind of beside the point, but I wish like technology and recruiting insider info wasn't so prominent and he would have just picked Tech out of nowhere, like with the announcing the top 4 and then picking Tech. That would have been so funny. It kind of took some of the heat off, considering a lot of people saw it coming. But yeah, no, nonetheless, really excited to see this and hopefully continue this for the rest of this class and going forward.
Yeah, Conrad, this wasn't all money driven. Do you feel like this was 100% money? I mean, where does the credit fall? I think it's easy now in this portal era, like, to almost discredit the coaching staff, the recruitment process. Do you feel like this was all a check decision, or do you feel like Felix, though he can't say our university correctly just yet, or the order of which the words go, do you feel like Joey and the coaching staff had a massive imprint on this as well?
Yeah, Felix, we all, we all Red Raiders, learn different things at different times. So that's totally okay. We'll get the order right here quickly. But no, I think it's more than money. I think because money was obviously a huge part of the portal class, right? We're not denying that. We are probably one of the most expensive rosters in college football this year. But going forward, I think you have to consider the larger picture of Texas Tech. I mean, what we have in the facilities, what you have in terms of Joey and the coaching staff and Blanchard. I mean, I think the biggest testament to the fact that this situation and the other recruiting situations were more than money is what ended up happening with Micah coming back. You don't have a guy like Micah come back unless there's really, really strong relationships that are built from the top down, starting with Joey, obviously, and then on down to the coordinators and players, different things like that. And so I think Texas Tech is positioned really well, not just from a financial standpoint, but also from just the leadership standpoint. And I think you're going to see more players that, sure, maybe they could get a guaranteed, maybe a bigger bag somewhere else because, SEC and Big Ten schools do, tend to have more money than Big 12 schools right now. But at the same time, you could see a guy saying, no, I want to go to Texas Tech because of the facilities they have, because of the coaches they have, because of the success that we will hopefully have this year. So I don't think it's all related to money, but I do think money, as it is with everything, is a big factor in each decision.
Z, you made a face. You disagree?
Yeah, I think this one, I think Conrad's points all stand, especially the Micah point. I think that one is especially true, just why he's back. I think that's almost entirely relationships. This one to me felt like, I give the coaching staff a lot of credit, but it was the way that they managed to use their money that I think was really unique. And I think that's what I listened to the interview with Derek Shelby, the prestige management agent, and he said Tech's offer was the biggest, and that's why they chose to go with Tech. I mean, it was kind of a financially driven decision. Now, you know, he didn't go to Sacramento State, or he didn't go to, you know, other places that may have offered him that. So he didn't just go to a no-name school. But I think it was, you know, really what it came down to is you were willing to offer that third year. Most of these other schools only wanted to offer a 1 and maybe a 2-year deal. You were willing to take a risk and say, hey, listen, we'll pay you for 3 years guaranteed, 700. And I think that's what pushed it over the edge. I don't think, because I mean, you weren't even in his top 4. You know, I think he visited you after he released his top 8 and you weren't in that. So you kind of snuck back in. But then he released the top 4 after that. And I think you came back with an offer, and that's how you kind of sealed the deal. And so in that sense, I think I would push back, and I don't want to, but I credit our coaching staff a ton for being willing to take that risk and take that gamble and say, yeah, you know what? We will do something that these Blue Bloods are not willing to do. We'll take the risk. And so that's where I give them, I credit the coaching staff more than the money, because everybody has the $20.5 million. We chose to use it in a really unique way. So that's kind of how, where I allocate that.
And another thing is Tech was his second offer, like in high school. So like, I don't think, you know, if you just find a 5-star and you come in at the last minute, you offer the most money, I don't think, you know, 9 times out of 10, I don't think he's committing to you. So to your credit, like credit to them for building that relationship and being in a position where, you know, the money can be like the deciding factor at the end of the day.
Yep. Okay, so let's break this down, because this was something I was. Oh, Conrad, go ahead.
Well, I think that's totally fair. I did not know that. I didn't watch that interview, so I didn't know that Tech's offer was the biggest. So that's obviously, I mean, like you said though, I don't know that you can't be just like some. I mean, you couldn't be like, let's just say it's the University of Houston. No disrespect to the Cougars,
Baylor,
but
some terrible school.
You know, yeah, some terrible school for a lot of various reasons. But we'll talk about that later on the show. Stay tuned. But at the same time, it's not like it was Houston. Like, it's a school that has momentum behind it, that has a coaching staff that people respect, that people look to, and they're like, wow, okay, that fan base is pretty crazy. The investment there from top to bottom has been out of this world. And so while it's not, you know, an Ohio State of Texas, because we're not that, I still think all of those factors played a part. And I said that because I didn't know about that interview where Tech's offer was the biggest. So, but that, I mean, credit to him for getting his money.
And it could have been smaller on an annual basis. You know, let's say, you know, maybe Ohio State was $800,000 a year, but it was only for 1 year. It was for 2 years, and you were willing to do that extra third. So I don't know what it broke down on a per year basis. I just know that total compensation, it was the highest. Which, now, if you add a third year, that really elevates what you're able to offer.
So here's my question though: is this like the NFL, where like this dude's locked in for 3 years and he can't transfer? Is it like, you know, it's like if you sign a player to a 3-year. If you $80 million deal in the NFL, they're on your team. Like, they can't just walk, you know. And does that apply here? That's Clayton and I were sitting in a pool floaty, you know, vibing for July 4th, and I'm like, wait, so do we get the kid for 3 years, or is it like he can leave and there's still no repercussions on the player? Like, is there still that? I'm still not understanding how these deals work.
And we don't have the language of the contract, so we don't know, but I assume that there is some sort of buyout if you choose to leave the school or something like that. Once again, I don't know. I've not been told that.
There has to be. Like,
I have not seen it. But we don't even know how the payment's structured. I mean, what if it's like, you get there's so many details that you don't know. I think so I assume that he's not going to be going anywhere else. You know, all this stuff gets, which there's another comment. You know, there were several 5-stars that committed on July 4th. Why was this the only one that got leaked, what the NIL compensation was? I know all of those other guys got paid. It was just really fascinating to me that this was the one that got leaked. But then the other thought is, if you truly do only have $18 million. Yeah,
go deeper on that, though. Why is that fascinating?
I don't know.
What's your speculation?
I wonder. So, I mean, if you're the agency, I think there's a good argument to be made that if you signed what you thought was a really good deal for your athlete, you would want the publicity. That's why that $5.1 million was initially floated. That's just business. I get that. I just don't. It's funny to me that when an outsider gets in there and signs a 5-star, that it can only be the money. And in this case, I think the money had a large, I don't want to say the money, I think aggressive deal structuring is what got you this done. The money obviously had to be there, but I don't know. That was just interesting to me.
Yeah.
There were so many other kids that committed, so many other things, and all of a sudden this is the only one that's been announced, and maybe it's a one of a kind. I just can't decide if that's good for you or bad for you long term. Is this what every high school kid expects now? Like, what does that look like for you after this? the 3-star offensive lineman on your roster that's already committed, does he expect a 3-year guaranteed deal for, I don't know, 120,000, like whatever it is? Like, how does this cascade? What does this do to other recruitments across the country? I don't know. It's interesting, and I'd love to kind of break that down and what we think that looks like going forward, because it will affect things.
Yeah. Well, and the question though too is like why was the initial number that I believe that came out first was the 5.1? That came out first, correct?
Mm.
And then the 775 came out. So my thought now looking back at it is the 5.1 came from the agent side of things and the player side of things, and then maybe somebody from tech side said, "Whoa, no, that's not what it was." Because if it was a 5.1, to Zyler's point, then that really even complicates things to a different level. Like that takes things up to a whole different place. Whereas 775 is obviously a lot of money, but it's not 5.1. And so I don't know. I just I agree with you, Zyler. I think it's strange that this number came out for us, and that's probably already not a great starting point with maybe not. I don't know about for sure, but what your compensation is before you even get to the school being out there, that can't help anyone, right? Like I would think that.
So
that's just me.
I'll argue the other side, because I think you actually make a pretty good point. I think I would lean more on your side. The good side is maybe you're a first mover here, and now every single 5-star in the country wants a deal that's somewhat structured to this, and you now put the impetus. You think about NFL contracts. What did Jamar want? He just wanted $1 more than Justin Jefferson. It's like these guys want to be better than the most recent deal, and so maybe you have a real advantage here, being a first mover and setting the market and getting your deal done first. It's like the anti-Cowboy strategy, where you wait to the very last minute and let everybody else get signed and then have to pay them the absolute maximum amount. Like, think of the Dak and the CD deal. So I think that's the positive spin, is you're the market mover, you set the market, and now all the other teams have to play catch up and do that with their rosters. And maybe you structured this in a really creative way that let you pay some money beforehand, and you aren't actually on the hook for that. And I don't know, there's just a lot of really interesting ways it could be a good thing. I think there's plenty of ways
We're speculating here. We're speculating.
Totally.
That's what we're doing.
I think it's also like you're competing against these other teams, and now that there's like a set cap, like you wouldn't want to be paying this guy $5 million if like TCU or Baylor can get 5 stars for like 1.5.
Exactly.
But by you putting this out there, like those recruits are now going to be asking for this.
Yeah,
you want to be on the same playing field, but I think it can go either way too. I agree.
I just, and I think all three of you made great points. I still just find it odd that I'm reading a tweet that an 18-year-old who's a senior in high school, 17-year-old is signing a 3-year, $5 million deal, regardless of and who is prestige management? Like, I still just feel like these agents, and I'm always going to be an advocate against sports agents, because I think a lot of them are sleazy, and there's going to be a ton out there that are using 17 and 8-year-olds. And so if they're the first ones releasing it, I tend to lean where Conrad's saying, like, I think Tech was like, whoa, like, what are we doing here? Like, how long has prestige management been around? I'd love to know. And I know they represent Canada and all this stuff too, but they're going to do stuff like they're going to play games because they probably have another client that they want another $5 million for that he can get 5% off of. So, it's like, for me, it's like, are they protecting the kids? I think the release, I would speculate the release of that $sign was not Texas Tech giving them the green light to do that, and then it was restructured after that. That's my opinion.
I feel like the $5 million, I think it could, like, the deal could be $5 million if everything.
No, and it
like,
could
if
be,
he's
but
an
like
All-American.
but that quickly, like, for it to be that quick, and it just doesn't feel like, I don't know. I still just feel icky about some of this stuff.
So here's the other thing. Two thoughts on that. And I think Brennan makes a good point. Do you remember, let me take you back to the summer of 2022, and the Matador Club announced that every player on the Tech roster was getting $25,000, and that was groundbreaking.
Yeah.
And here you are 3 years from now and a 17-year-old. Like, that's just a massive shift
and that was
what your rosters cost.
And that was every athlete, not just every football player, right? Like, that was any Tech athlete was getting $25,000. I think
it was just football, but I could be wrong.
First it was football, but then they changed it to every athlete,
I think.
Yeah.
And so, and then here's the other thing. So Keegan Renault, I don't know if you guys follow him on Twitter, but he works at RPM Data. He did a lot of stuff for Oklahoma. He said average market value for a good left tackle in college football right now is about $2 million. So that is a lot of money. in the NIL world, you know, you can afford to do that. If this kid ends up being an all-conference left tackle, you may have gotten him for a steal. You know, if you think about if that dollar amount raises, you know, you don't see that going down. Like if you try to get, let's say, Isaiah World from Nevada out of the transfer portal, that's $2 million price tag.
And that's $2 million annually.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so you think about if this kid turns into, even if he's just all conference, not even an All-American, you probably got him at a bargain.
Yeah.
If he turns out. But you may end up having a dud on your roster that costs you $775,000 a year, and you may never do anything.
That was going to be my point. Is what do you do if he doesn't? If you're just like, yeah, he's and Felix, we know you're a big fan of the show now because you're a Red Raider, but don't take this personally. But if he's just a backup tackle, like, you don't want to pay that $775,000. I mean, I could be a backup tackle for a couple $100,000, much cheaper. And so it's thinking about those things. It's like you want
to be a backup.
Conrad,
like he would just be a bad starter.
Yeah,
he would. Yeah, he probably would just be a bad starter for that amount.
Yeah,
but I'm saying, like, what wiggle room does the school have, right?
Yeah,
like,
once again, we don't have the details on that.
Yeah, we're speculating, but like there has to be an out.
This is the problem, Z, with where we're at. It's like we don't have the details. Okay, if
get what's publicly released.
If you're going to become NFL minor league, which is essentially what college football has now become with the contracts and the rev share, it's like a mini salary cap. Okay, then give us the information. We know when Patrick Mahomes signs a 10-year, $450 contract.
Yeah, we know every
when
detail
he counts against the cap. We know what's in his contract.
If we know the dead cap hit, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
if
I wonder if an FOIA
trouble, like we know the stipulations to the contract, and college is still just. It feels like here's this revenue share agreement. I think that's why I'm so peeved about it. Like here's this agreement, July 1st. You're gonna have so many more answers, and I see this tweet about this kid, and I'm like, okay, is that guaranteed? Is that locked? Like we still don't have any answers. It's like, okay, no, you get $20 million to play with, but what's the stipulations? That's my biggest thing. I'm glad he's here. I don't want to take away from the signing. I just don't like how the whole thing looks.
But it's more over the table than it's ever been in the history of college football.
Yeah, and that's a good.
We didn't even 2 years ago when he was in, you just have no idea what guys signed for.
Yeah.
It was just like, yeah, he's here. Who knows?
Yeah,
and so there's something to be said for there's more information now than there ever has been, but your points still stand. It's like we don't really know. We have a dollar figure and we have a year.
Yeah.
And that's
you're always projecting. I mean, sorry, Connor, like same thing with the NFL. Like, you got a kid in college, you think he's going to be a first round pick, you draft him, he's a bust. It happens.
That happens.
You pay more than you thought you would have to for a first or second round pick compared to if you got the kid in the 5th round. That's totally fine.
Yep.
And that happens. The offensive line, that happens all the time. You can get a lot of value in college to the NFL for a value offensive lineman. So, Z, I get your point on the average annual pay potentially and that being a bargain a couple years down the line. But I don't know. I just, I hope he's great, right? I hope he is the best left tackle in the Big 12 and he's an All-American 5-star guy. And this is a sign of things to come. But I just didn't like how the news got reported, I guess. And I blame the agency on that side. And I don't know. I'm speculating more so than I do Texas Tech.
Another thought that I'll add, and this is more just my appreciation for the alignment. And I think if you've listened to our Skouvenek interview, you know that he talked about this. We have more alignment than he felt that they've ever had, from the president's office to the athletic department to the coaching staff, like on how we're going to approach things. I don't think stuff like this happens if you don't have that. And I appreciate the staff taking a high risk swing on a high upside prospect. We could sit there and sign 3 stars for the rest of eternity. But, we chose to take a risk here, and it may flame out horribly. He may be a horrifying bust. It happens with 5-star prospects all the time. They end up being just not very good. That happens. But, what if he's great? And I appreciate our staff saying, let's swing for the fences and let's just try to make this thing happen. And it may go horribly wrong, but it may go really, really well. And I can appreciate that they're at least not just taking swings for the 25 roster, but for the 26 roster and the 27 roster. Like, they're going to hit one eventually. And I appreciate that.
I'm smiling because Zyler, who's usually, he likes to play devil's advocate. We get hype up here. He gets crap in the comments from it too, And here's Zyler saying, hey, let's have some hope here, guys. And that's what makes Z so great. He knows he can read the room well, or in this case, the 4 different rooms, I guess.
But do you? I mean, push back on that, because that's my thought on that. I mean, and I think I've heard your thought, Brennan, where it's weird to pay a high school kid $775,000 who's never played a snap at college football.
Well, before I want to clarify, I guess, my thought, because I'm all over the place a little bit, but like, it's not that I think it's weird to pay him that. It's how I'm more concerned with like how it got reported and what does the payment look like, and does he have to stay in your program? Because like, okay, let's take that apart real quick, Clay. I know you've got a thought too. Let's say Z, just to play your side, on the one side he's really good. Okay, so you want him to stay in your program, but then Bama comes and poaches him and says, "Hey, but he signed this 3-year, $5 million deal. It looks like an NFL contract. Like it looks like okay, he's here." Let's say he sucks. Let's say he's not a program guy. He's selfish. Well, I don't know. He wants, he's just a detriment to your locker room, and you want to get rid of him, but you can't trade him, you can't cut him, and you can't do anything because you're paying 3 years, $5 million. I just wanted, and then you're tied close to $1 million a year to a guy that you want no part of your team. And I don't think Felix will be that guy, but that's going to happen across. That's some level.
Total real risk.
Yeah, and so like my biggest question is like, what does the contract say? What does it mean, and why don't we have access to it? Like it shouldn't. And does he have to go to school? Like I just would love to know like what. Give me I'll go to law school. Do I have to go to Texas Tech Law School so I can see what's in these things? Like, do I need to go work for the compliance department? Because that to me is the biggest problem here. It wasn't the fact that we did this. I think it's great. I hope he's a stud. It was what is it? Like, what am I reading? What does it mean? How do I take this at face value?
And I wonder if these are subject to the Freedom of Information Act, like where you can request coaches' contracts and stuff like that. Like, I wonder if you actually can get could we may be able to get a copy
of the Broadway Shuffle? Could we?
Can we submit a request?
Who do we email? Do I need to DM Trump? Like, what do we have to do?
Elon.
Where do we have to go here? Elon.
Yeah,
Elon will know more. Yeah. Elon started a new party, I guess, is what I saw. So maybe he'd be privy. Maybe they get more access. I don't know.
Maybe he wants to donate to the Matador Club and recruitment. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. Okay, Clayton. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, no, a couple things. So number one, I agree that like it's not the safest move to be paying him all this money, but I don't think you'll ever get these types of players if you don't do that, considering the disparity in resources between the SEC and the Big Ten, and just like the perception among high school recruits. Like,
totally,
if you're offering the same deal as like Georgia, I mean, why would someone?
Why?
I mean, there are reasons that someone could pick you, but like the majority would be for Georgia. And then the second thing is someone also on Red Raider Sports looked at like the last 12 or 13 number one offensive tackles, and like there's more like all-American type players than there are like straight up busts. Like there were some guys who didn't pan out to 5-star, but they were still like above average starters. There's more that turn out to be great players.
5-star QBs.
Yeah.
The riskiest prospect.
Exactly. So that is one like piece of, I guess, promising info is like odds are he's going to be at least a good starter for you for 3 years.
Yeah, and that's my thing though. Is it 3 years? Like Conrad, I guess I just want the school to be protected. I want the coaching staff, the recruiters, the school. It just seems like they've got very minimal power in the transfer portal, NIL, collective agreement, whatever it is. That's what I'm most concerned about here.
Well, what you saw in college athletics was it was all on one side, right? Coaches, schools had all the power. They had all the benefit. And then it swung to the other side where the athlete had all the power. And now they're trying to find a balance, but they're not finding it. I mean, you would have thought that once you went to this revenue sharing model, the contracts would have had to have been published by the school or something like that. And I say by the school because I fully agree with Brennan. I think the 5.1 was from the agency because they're trying to get somebody else that kind of money. And then Texas Tech came in, or somebody with knowledge of the situation who had to be more of a Texas Tech bank came in and said, hey, no, that's not what it is, because that could do a lot of things. That would be my perception on it. But at the same time, you want everyone to be protected. Like I want Felix to be protected because this is the world that he has walked into. And he didn't ask for it. He's just trying to reap the benefits of it. I'm not blaming him for it, but I want there to be an equity on both sides, right? Texas Tech should be protected, but he should be protected as well. And so you want to make sure it's fair, but the powers that be are not necessarily putting in all the constraints to actually help that goal be achieved, is my humble but accurate opinion. So that's where I'm gonna. That's where I'm
That's
gonna.
Conrad Mills.
It is-
Conrad made a quick note too. He said he want to play left tackle. We got to start feeding Conrad some Big Macs, and I'd love to
Yeah,
see
Conrad, you're
Conrad
gonna
Mills
bulk
play
up.
left tackle.
Disgusting. Oh,
You've gotta-
McDonald's hot take.
What do you-
McDonald's is one of the most disgusting food places on the planet. Like it's
Bro,
awful.
that is
Buddy,
a
I've
hot
got some
take.
places I could take you.
Give me, dude. Give me a McDonald's run past midnight any night. I'd go.
No. We live in Texas, Brennan. Again, Whataburger. That's where we go.
It just the nostalgic of McDonald's. I don't know. Z, what were you saying?
Other thing that I'll mention kind of on this, I think we've talked a lot, and rightfully so, about the 5-star, but you did sign, a really highly rated safety out of, I forget where he went to school,
Is
but
it Frisco?
Frisco. Donovan Webb, he chose you over Michigan, which is like, okay, yeah, that was the national champion 2 years ago. And then you got Ace Roden over TCU, which is like, those are huge wins that you were not getting last year. I mean, if you followed recruiting, I follow it religiously. You were getting beat for these kids every single time last year. You were having to moneyball your way to some of this stuff. You sent the 42nd ranked class last year. You're at the 22nd ranked class right now. I think this staff has shown an ability to navigate tricky situations, adapt, and not do things the same way twice if it doesn't work. I think I'm just really impressed with. I think that's why you hired Blanchard and why you kept Blanchard from Notre Dame is he's going to be on the cutting edge of a lot of this stuff. And I really appreciate that. I respect that. And I think it's a really good way to do things. There's 22 starters on a football team. The safety, not as important as a left tackle, but very important for your team, and getting a running back when you didn't take one last year. I don't want to overlook those guys. Those are 2 of the top 5 rated kids in your class, and you got 3 of them, if you include Felix, in the last week. So really impressive run by the staff. You're up to the number 1 class in the Big 12 by a significant margin. That's an awesome place to be in, and somewhere that I never really thought we'd be in again. I mean, maybe I did with the new Big 12, but it's always nice to see that.
Yeah, man. Well, let's transition to the old Big 12 if we could. I've been wanting to get to this the whole episode. I've been biting my tongue, but I mentioned at the beginning of the show, X and Twitter and a specific fan base down south that wear orange. They had
Burnt
a
orange.
rough time. Burnt orange. They had a rough time online, man. And it was fun it was hilarious. I mean, Zyler, you texted that you could be on the UT message boards all day. It was, dude. Why do you think I mean, look, let's be honest and fair that Texas has pretty much kicked our butt in everything we've done against them, minus a couple years, for the better part of 50 years. But is it seeing the little brother get a win? What? Yes, Conrad.
Their advantage is also written into the state constitution, but carry on.
Yes,
okay.
That is true.
Yes,
the puff is
fair.
ridiculous and gives them a huge advantage.
I know Texas fans listening this far in the podcast don't want to talk about that, but that's pretty much the only reason you are the university that you are, but you can keep going.
But okay, but I will say this:
what's with the reaction? What's with the national reaction regarding this signing?
It's the pearl clutching. It's like no. We would, we have built a culture where kids just want to come in and be developed and blah 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 blah. Cool, that's really neat. That's stuff that everybody talks about. Texas is paying kids more than just about any other program in the country, without a doubt. They signed 5-star Justice Terry last year, and he straight up said in his interview, I decommitted from Georgia and flipped because of a better NIL package from Texas. It was, his words. They flipped the kid, Richard Wesley from Oregon, after he did that backflip into the pool with Dan Lanning. We all remember that. 3 weeks later, he flips to Texas because of an NIL deal. Whenever they get outbid for a recruit on NIL, all of a sudden NIL is a problem. But whenever they're signing 5-stars and 4-stars all over the country, it's not a big deal. People just love the culture and want to be in Austin and love Sark. Some people may love that. That's great. Texas is a great program. They were a great team last year. They're going to be a great team this year. I'm not taking that away from them. But to act like nobody chooses you because of the money is ridiculous. And it's just not true. It's just factually not true.
And to say that these kids who choose someone over or choose another school over Texas is just doesn't fit the culture. They don't care about winning. It's so hypocritical. And the funniest part is they get players like Felix Ojo every single recruiting cycle.
Totally.
They could probably find another one of him. No disrespect to him.
They signed a 5-star right after that, 2 hours after that. John Turntime.
It's you would think that they would get bored of losing their minds over every recruit that they lose to another Texas school, but they don't.
And it's like, what do you want Tech to do? Should we just let you have every 5-star and not do what we can to snag people? Like, what do you want Tech to do? Just not be good?
Yes, I think that is what they want.
That is
That's
what they want
exactly
to do.
what
That is what they
Which-
want.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
Granted,
what they
that's what
want.
I want for all the other Texas schools. I want them to all be bad.
Yeah.
Like, I don't root for any of them, but like, I don't get how you can say that. And to be fair, there were several rational commenters on that. It's, it's
Brennan,
a forward-looking
Tyler,
deal.
do not give them credit at all. Come on.
Yes.
This is
No,
a Texas
I
Tech
want to shoot it
podcast.
straight, but the vast majority, it's just like, man, this kid didn't fit the culture because he took the money. It's like, dude, y'all recruited him and thought he was yours 24 hours ago, and you were
Because
all
of the
excited
money.
about it.
Yeah.
Well, Tech is going to lose kids because of NIL, and we're not going to say that. Yeah, dude, he's just a money chaser. Like,
Not a
that's
culture
part
fit.
of the recruitment, not a
Nah, he's
culture
not
fit.
a culture fit,
We
bro.
should use that language. We should just use that and see what happens.
Yeah,
Sometimes, wins are not in our culture fit. It's just like we didn't want that win. It wasn't a fit for our culture.
Yeah.
It's just that didn't fit what we needed.
That
it's
TCU
like,
win, that's just not a culture fit for us.
not a culture
Yeah.
fit. It's like,
That-
dude, get out of here with the
I can't
culture
wait.
fit
I
nonsense.
can't wait till we lose a game. I hope we actually. I hope we don't lose a game at all. But when we do lose the game, I can't wait for our reaction episode. And you guys are like, "Hey, look, chalk it up. That loss to Kansas at home. It just wasn't a culture fit. Like
That's
we
the
just
T logic right there.
Yeah, it
ET
just
logic.
wasn't-
We didn't want it.
we didn't need it. We didn't want it. I was listening to Kirk Herbstreit on a podcast this week, and the more I listen to him, the more I like him. But the guy asked him, he's been in the business for 30 years, and he was like, "What do you love about college football?" And he said, "They're the most passionate fan outside of maybe the Premier League. I think it's the most passionate people in sports, like NFL, NBA. It outpaces it all.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, there's 10% of each fan's population who's like, everyone's got them, but they're just absolutely lunatics." And
Oh, yeah.
and he was like, they're just lunatics, and a lot of them reside online. And I think we
Oh, yeah.
saw the 10% like
Oh, yeah.
online, and it's awesome. I don't know why people feel the need to do that, but I'm glad they do. Because it's
That is-
hilarious. It's
That's
just
such
wild.
an
to
interesting
me.
point. That like the crazy college football fans are all on Twitter beefing with each other, and the crazy NFL fans are dressed up like a bulldog
in
with
dog
face
mask
paint.
and faded
Yeah.
paint.
At the
Like
stadium.
64 years
Yeah.
old. Yeah. He
Yeah.
was like, okay, maybe the Bills, maybe the Browns. Like, there's a couple just fan bases like the Steelers that have just like been there, and it's just in their blood, and they go. But they're usually like grown men like that are in their 50s and 60s that have had season tickets for like 40 years passed down, and they want to paint their face every week. And like that's the lunatics in the NFL.
Couldn't be me.
It's insane to me that all those guys have like careers. Like they're all like VPs at like some
Oh,
big
show up to
company
work
on
yeah.
Sundays.
It's like who's
Yeah,
the
like-
Jets guy, the fireman that's been going to every game, like for
Oh,
the New
yeah.
York Jets. It's just, but college, it's in your blood. Like a lot of times,
Oh, yeah.
for a
Mhm.
majority, you're an alumni, you lived, your parents went to the school, your great grandparent went to the school, whatever it is. And Kirk was just like, you just kind of block out the lunatics, like as an analyst, but
Yeah.
but they also are what makes the sport so special. And for us, like seeing Texas fans just go ballistic online because Texas Tech, like the little brother, finally out recruited them or paid
Mhm.
in a recruiting battle. It was just awesome. It's golden. It's great content for us. It just it's funny to think about, dude. And Texas Tech has them too, and and that's fine. And you just every school's got them.
Every school has
Four
them.
of them are
Every
on this
school
one.
got
Kirk
it.
Herbstreit. I just want to say this: Kirk Herbstreit's still on my like naughty list for his comments last year about the playoff. But
Well, I
Your
think
point
as
is
a
taken.
guy, like as a dude, like I can
Yeah.
tell Kirk's just a solid dude. He seems to be who he is, and I got that in the podcast. I'll send you guys a link. But it was cool. I just think it was fun to think about because I was sitting there. We have a content show on YouTube, and I was like, man, where are the loonies at? Like,
Yeah.
like I got to sat there. I was like,
Tech-
Brennan,
Tech
am I
has
the
an army
lunatic?
of
us.
Am I the lunatic? Yeah,
dude, no, Tech has an army online. There
Yeah.
are so many insane Tech fans online, and we appreciate all of you. They're
Yes.
great. They love the
Join our
university,
show.
but it's like
Subscribe to our channel, please.
there's
Yeah.
never been a well officiated game that we've lost. There's never been an honest coach on the other side, and I appreciate that assessment. And I wish I lived my life that way.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, Conrad, but the University of Texas, I mean, you're a former fan. You've repented, but you rooted, you were a Longhorn fan at a time. Like, is it fun to see your old gang just suffer online for a day, or like what's it like as a former? Answer me this: did you ever have a burnt orange T-shirt?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
I did. I did. I did. Yeah. We all go ways that we shouldn't go, and I did find my way to Texas Tech and have renounced all of those. I think I only had one, but if I still had one, I would gladly get rid of it. But I don't know. I just don't appreciate necessarily the comments about, if he cared about academics, he'd come here. Like, to Zyler's point, to Clayton's point, to Brennan's point, these guys are just not going to Texas for the academics. Like, you can say whatever you want about these academics. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from Texas. It's a great school, but at the same time, you just have to realize these kids are not going there for the academics. They're going there because I think they're going to get to the league, and a lot of them are. I mean, they've been doing that. But the University of Texas is, I mean, I just find it so ironic how when we bring up the Puff or the funds that are literally given to their institution by because of they were around when, very early on before we were, that you have an unrealistic, unprecedented advantage over other schools in the state of Texas. And then you're going to sit here and act like, well, yeah, Texas Tech this or Texas Tech that. It's just like, that's just not very thoughtful. And if you have the best academics, like some say they do, it's like you should be able to realize that, your argument is kind of not really carrying that much weight if you actually factored the Puff into your advantage that you seemingly have and know you have. But I don't know. It is what it is. We're used to it. We've seen it before. And I will say I'm glad we don't have to play them this year, but maybe this year will be our best year or best shot to go get them again like we did last time we played them in Lubbock.
Look, I've met a lot of really smart people from Tech, and I've met a lot of really dumb people from UT. So I don't, it balances out. Case closed. I mean, it's my experience is the truth. I've seen
Hang the banner.
Hang it.
Hang the banner.
I know it to be a fact. So I don't know what this academic thing is.
And third and Longhorn, if you guys are listening this far in, we'd love to have a debate with you. Who is better, Texas or Texas Tech? Just let us know when we want to have it.
No facts allowed. No facts allowed.
It would be fun to do like a roundtable debate against an enemy fan base. That would be a lot of fun. I don't know how that would go for us in terms of the competitive results, but it would be fun.
It's a vibes thing. It's how many off seasons can you win?
It's a culture fit. It's really about the culture.
It's all about the culture.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's get to our Tommy Tubervilles of the week. Talking about culture, Conrad, I want to go to you first. Who was your Tommy?
I'm sorry, I couldn't contain myself. It was right on the tip of my tongue.
It leaped out of your mouth. I mean, it was just you could not wait to say it.
Yeah, if you had to step back from the screen because it came at you that quickly, I apologize. Or it jumped out of your speakers at you in your car. Baylor University, you are my Tommy Tuberville of the week, the year, maybe forever. You have supplanted Shedeur Sanders. I'm not going to go into any extra details about that. If you know, you know. Baylor University, you are my Tommy Tuberville of eternity.
That's a great eternity.
Word, it's taking over him for good. Yeah. Eternity.
Yep. Conrad's battle between Shedeur and Baylor is going to be one for the ages.
It is.
Could you imagine if Shedeur would have played for Baylor?
Would have been the perfect storm.
It would.
What if Shedeur ends up being good? Anyway, I don't.
I think we've asked that question every Tommy segment. What if he ends up being good, Conrad? What do you?
Dude, my dream is Shedeur going to the Cowboys. That is my dream.
One day. All right, Clayton, who is your Tommy of the week?
Yeah, my Tommy this week. I'm sure you guys followed the draft. Ace Bailey refusing to work out for a lot of teams, including the 76ers, who had the third pick, trying to force his way to either the Wizards or the Hornets so that he could shot chuck with LaMelo Ball, but ended up getting drafted by the Utah Jazz. And in his first summer league game, he put up 8 points, I think it was, on like 3 of 13 shooting. And ironically was playing the 76ers, who took VJ Edgecombe in his place, who put up 29 points on him. So Ace Bailey, you are my Tommy Tuberville of the week.
Excellent.
Yeah, dude, that guy, he's got a lot to learn. Talk about having some bad agents. He's got a bad
Yeah,
age.
no kidding.
For real.
Z, what about you, man?
Yeah, mine. Special shout out to Hugh Freeze this week. He'll be my Tommy Tuberville. He, somebody did the research and they looked up some public handicap records. If you're not familiar with that, it's a golfing score. And Hugh Freeze posted a low sevens handicap. He's really been out there. He's really been grinding. Played 11 rounds in the month of June, one of the busiest recruiting months of the entire year. Auburn currently has the 80th ranked high school class in the entire nation. They're behind teams like, and let me pull them up. These are powerhouses you guys will all be aware of: Tulsa, Colorado State, Sacramento State, Toledo, UNLV, Miami, Ohio. He sits behind all of those teams. But thank God Hugh Freeze got his handicap down. We're all very thankful for you. So Hugh Freeze, you are my Tommy Tuberville of the week. On the hot seat, by the way.
Conrad, sounds like you, man. 6.4 handicap.
Yeah, I'm a little higher than that, but you could beat Hugh Freeze. I know that.
Probably so. Well, dude, my Tommy's close to the vest. It's our adult intramural basketball team, and I've been thinking about this for a while.
Adult intramural?
Or it's not intramural. It's
What
adult
college
league.
are you playing for? Are you
I
at Richland Community College?
I just got accepted. I just got accepted to Tech Law School.
Congratulations.
I'm going to fight the good fight for agents everywhere. Clayton and I've got an adult league, and let's just say it hasn't gone swimmingly so far. I thought we'd be better.
What's
than
your
we
team
were.
name?
I'll leave it. I'll leave it on the show. Just due to your profession, I'm probably not allowed to say it on air. But
Mouth it.
But we're 0-3 so far with like a point difference of like 75, I think. So
And how much money did you pay to play in this?
$800 as a
Not
team
Per person, right?
Not
Yeah,
even,
for
like
this
90, 95. But we had an off week this week. We're recovering. My knee's a little sore, so I just wanted to keep us accountable and say that the adult league of me and Clayton it's not off to a swimmingly good start, but we can only go up. But we're the frauds. We're frauds, and I've got to own that on the show. So
Don't lie. You did not have an off week. You forfeited.
no, we should have forfeited against one team, dude. We signed up for this league, and we signed up for the intermediate, and there's an advanced level. And I'm thinking, okay, we're going to play a bunch of dudes like us, like washed up, late 20s. Our first game, we played against a team that had like 2 Division I players, and they beat us 99-59. And they were doing like alley-oops off the backboard. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what did I
After the
sign
first
up
game,
for?
I was like, bro, who is playing in the advanced? Is it freaking Cooper Flag?
It's a Mavs.
It's the
Summer
G League,
team.
actually.
Yeah. So it was it's been a rude awakening, man. It's been tough. So just we got our game next Sunday night at I think 10 o'clock at night. They also make you play like past bedtime. It's nuts. We'll give you a live update on the pod. Maybe we'll screen record it or something. I don't know. You can see how bad we are. So anyways, there's my Tommy.
I can just picture a guy throwing an alley-oop over Clayton's head and Clayton just putting his hands up, and then I can picture another guy jumping right over Brennan, standing straight up and just dunking it right on top of him. That's what I'm picturing in my
I have not
in
been
my mind
dunked
right
on
now.
yet. Like dunked on. I've been ran past and then the dude dunked, but I have not been dunked on. So speaking of basketball, we totally were going to talk about this, but we got so into the transfer portal. But shout out to Christian Anderson, man, and the growth there. It's exciting to see what he was able to do for the Germany team. And Grant McCaslin, congratulations on winning with the under-19 team as well. So, man, that got me amped. Like seeing some highlights of Christian and the growth he's had as an offensive player just in the few months since we've seen him. That's going to be scary with him and Toppin, man. You're talking about a dynamic duo that could easily take Tech, to a top 5 team and a potential number 1 seed. I mean, I think that they're that good potentially. So it was a ton of fun to watch Christian ball out for Germany, and I'm excited, man. That was awesome.
Yep.
Same. Yeah, he looked awesome.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We'll
Right
talk about
things
that
in store for Red Raider basketball.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in December. We'll bring that back up. Let's bookmark that conversation for December. So
Big 12 championship first.
Yes, there's things we got to check off first. Signing more 5 stars and not knowing their contract stipulations is one I want to know.
Yep.
I want to get
looking forward to it.
All right, Z, close us out with our trivia, brother.
We talked a lot about the highest rated recruits of all time. Felix Ojo would be if he stays at his current ranking, which I don't think he will. I think he'll be due for a drop. But outside of Micah Hudson, do you guys know who the highest rated recruit that we have signed? And I know that Red Raider Sports is with On3 now, but On3 doesn't have historical recruits going back far enough. So this is using the 24/7 composite. Who is the highest rated football recruit that has signed with Texas Tech outside of Micah Hudson and Felix Ojo?
Michael Crabtree.
Great guess.
I would say Jason Morrow.
That is another really good guess. Conrad?
Graham Harrell.
It is not any of those. It is a defensive player. Go ahead.
Is it Fehako?
It is Fehoko.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I knew it. As soon as I said Crabtree, I was like, wait a minute. Yeah. Braden Fehoko, dude. He was a nice guy.
Fehoko.
Good dude.
Yep. So, that's the Tech trivia for the week.
There you go, man. Well, that was a ton of fun. We'll be back on Thursday. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but we'll let you guys know on Thursday. So for Clayton, Conrad, and Zyler, I'm Brennan. Thank you all for tuning into the Broadway Shuffle, and we will see you guys later. Wreck 'em.